homosexuality. So, gay marriage, what does the Bible say about gay marriage? When it comes to the traditional interpretation, there are 6 passages out of 31,000 that talk about homosexuality. We have Genesis, Leviticus, Romans, Corinthians, and Timothy. The rest of the traditional interpretation we get comes from Genesis, where it talks about Adam and Eve and creation. But what if the traditional interpretation is wrong? It's an interpretation, is what we're men, we're sinful. In Genesis, it talks about Eve was a suitable partner. What if for a homosexual man, a suitable partner is another homosexual man? So, with the first passage that we get in Scripture, the most popular one is the sin of Sodom. In the passage, we see the men of Sodom gather around Lot's house after the angels come and visit, and they say, we're going to have our way with him. In the passage, the only mention of homosexual behavior is a suggested gang rape. Most theologians and scholars nowadays realize that the passage really doesn't hold weight in the argument against gay marriage, because when it comes to gang rape, that's a sin. When it comes to lust, that's a sin. Homosexuality is not really discussed as far as that passage. When we see in Ezekiel 16:49, it says that Sodom's sin was that they did not help. They were arrogant, overfed. They were unconcerned and did not help the poor and in need. And in Luke 10 and Matthew 10, Jesus refers to Sodom when talking to the disciples about going to towns and saying that Sodom's sin was them being inhospitable. Then, the 2 passages in Leviticus. We have Leviticus 18:22 and 20:13. And it says that homosexuals are abominations and should be put to death. As far as abominations, the Bible also says that eating pork, shrimp, charging interest to people, and having sex during the menstrual period are all abominations. But in the Bible also, when it talks about abominations, it's talking about, in Exodus, the Egyptians eating with someone outside their culture was an abomination. An abomination in the Bible is not regarding it being filthy or disgusting, but something that is culturally sets them apart. That is the terminology being used in the Bible. And when you go into the Greek and Hebrew, well, at this time the Hebrew, that's kind of what that word refers to. And as far as eating pork, shellfish, charging interest, we're not condemning people to hell based on that. We don't regard it as a sin. And in Romans 10:4, it says Christ is the end of the law. And in Hebrews, it says that the law is obsolete and aging. It no longer applies. Then we get to Romans. And in Romans, it says in Romans 1:22, I believe. I don't remember the exact verse number. But it says that men and women doing shameful acts. At the time of the writing of this passage, Paul and the view of homosexuality was men having sex with adolescent males, and typically was a form of prostitution or taking advantage, basically molestations, generally lust and sexual immorality. Not necessarily for the fact that it was a man with a man, but the fact that it was generally adultery. Usually the men perpetrating the act were married to a woman. Finally, in conclusion, if you're interested in the topic, you should look up Matthew Vines. He's one of the main arguers for this side that the Bible is not condemning homosexuality. We should accept them because there's no biblical foundation at this point to condemn it, and we should accept them with open arms because it would be wrong not to. I also recommend watching, he had a famous video back in 2012. It's on YouTube, it's called The Gay Debate. Went viral and kind of launched his whole ministry, which is the Reformation Act or group. I don't remember the exact name of that. So thank you. Any questions? Okay.